기자부대, hop on the beat!
Welcome back to another JoJo chapter review. This time we're taking a look at chapter 19 of the JoJoLands titled Glory Days Part 1. Last time, the gang started facing off against the bullet-controlling stand Glory Days while trying to cure Usagi in the hospital. This chapter opens with some new narration going over the founding of the Howler Company. We're told that 5 generations ago, the great-great-great-grandfather of Akka Howler was a man with the last name Latrato and was a sailor born in Italy. In 1843, he washed up on the island of Hawaii following an accident. He fell in love with a Hawaiian girl that helped him, and with the approval of the royal family, started a farm on the island. He used his ingenuity to dig horizontal wells into the volcanic rock, finding one of the only fresh water sources on the island. When Hawaii joined the United States, he changed his last name to Howler, since Latrato means howl in Italian. By controlling the water rights on the island, the Howler family leveraged control over the government and industry that arrived in the 20th century. As it stands, nobody is allowed on the land without Howler's permission, and they have an estimated $50 billion in assets. We go back to Paco, who is still trapped in the elevator and trying to warn Jodio that the stand users are on the floor with him. Charming Man and Dragona continue working to help Usagi using the MRI and smooth operators. Lulu drops her doll to distract Jodio, but he notices her nose bleeding as Dragona attacks her stand inside Usagi. Jodio notices Bobby Jean's shots in time and deflects them with November Rain. At this point, Bobby Jean gives up on being secretive and directly attacks Jodio, taking out multiple bystanders. Lulu reveals to Bobby Jean that they are after Howler's assets and that they need to collect a lava rock from them. This is interesting since earlier Akka specifically told Lulu not to tell Bobby Jean about the rock. So I think this may be an indication that Lulu's going to try and eliminate Bobby Jean as well when the job is done, possibly because he rejected adopting her in the last chapter. Dragona starts to drag the stand out but is suddenly surrounded by more of them, with Lulu having planted her stand on her doll's metal head and allowing it to stick to the magnetic MRI. We also see that the stand is on Jodio's hand after he touched the doll earlier. Bobby Jean tracks Jodio down to the bathrooms and wonders which one he's hiding in. He checks the women's room and Jodio appears behind him to attack. But we see that Bobby Jean has already fired behind himself, which Jodio narrowly deflects with more rain. The chapter ends with Jodio cornered in a stall of the men's room, while he notices the first symptoms of Big Mouth Strikes Again's attack on his body. This was another very good chapter. Not only was it another great stand battle like the last one, but we also got a lot of insight into our villains with Howler. The first thing of interest is that the family originated in Italy, which of course calls to mind the Zeppeli family. Latrato arrived in Hawaii in 1843, which is of course when the Kingdom of Naples was still operating. Whether they have any connection to Naples or the Zeppeli family is unknown, but many people have already pointed out the design similarities between Akka and Gyro. I wouldn't say it for certain yet, but if it did turn out to be the case, I wouldn't be surprised. We also now have an idea for just how powerful Howler is, since their jurisdiction on the island supersedes the government and the police. This also makes me wonder what kind of crazy power vacuum is going to happen with the land transfer, and this definitely casts more suspicion on Meryl May with what her motive is in all this. The rest of the chapter was mostly focused on action, which I already went over, but like I said, I do find it interesting that Lulu went against Akka's orders here. This was even immediately followed by her repeating that all humans will eventually die, so Bobby Jean could be included in that as well. Like in the last chapter, we saw some great use of stand abilities, this time with a focus on the villain's attacks. I really enjoyed seeing Lulu's direct attack using the doll, and November Rain really shined this month as we saw just how well it works in close combat. We also learned at the end of this chapter that the JoJoLands will be on hiatus next month and will return in November. This is actually the same month that Araki took off that he did last year. In some better news though, we've gotten word that the JoJo magazine will be returning for a 4th issue in December. I've loved the magazine so far, and going into detail on the 3rd issue is one of my favorite recent projects. We don't know what's in it yet or even what the cover will be. However, they are currently holding a survey asking fans for their opinions on the members of La Squadra, so that will most likely be shown in the issue. That's pretty much everything I have to go over this month. If you want to stay updated on new videos, make sure to subscribe and click the bell. You can also join the Hum and Beat Discord to be notified on new uploads and chapter releases. Finally, I'd appreciate if you help support the channel on Patreon. For supporting, you get a Discord role and you can submit patron questions, which I answer at the end of my main videos. I'm also now introducing YouTube memberships as an alternate way of showing your support. It has the same tiers and benefits as the Patreon, and if you're interested, just click the join button below. If you want to submit a question for a future video, you can leave it in the Patreon community chat, or if you're a member, by commenting it on a video or the members-only community post. I answer one question in each of my main videos, and I'm always looking for more, so feel free to ask as many as you like. Thank you for watching. This is the part of the video where I thank my $5 and up supporters. Thank you to Sloth Dog, Doorbell, Crayon, Rigovids, Zucato, Pumpkin Doge, Marrow, Almighty Quarth, Gatling Grove, Sponge Cake, Feliciano Rabaja, Rayana Meme, Christian McDonough, Emmanuel Etienne, Pulse Dog, Carmotrina, Zach Greenfield, FIFO, Rob Goliath, Jacob Smith, Big T, Sea Manga, Minty, Gold, Red Hot Mayonnaise, Jolene, Monticelli, Zenkai, Royal Slush, Chongo, Keenan, Perry, Noland, Miguel Antonio, John Braun, Cho Henshin, and Saint Bobo.